Okay, good evening to you all. Today is 22nd January 2025, which marks the beginning of our week 16 of this 6 month virtual internship. So we have, I think, 4 weeks to go. So it's been a long journey. So, like always, we start by showing our outlines. That is what we had to begin for the entire week. So, in this week, we'll have a recap on what we did on week 15. And also today we are going to look at the SQL interface. We are going to look at the interface, to look at the studio, the server management studio that we need to look at that. And again, today we are going to talk about the data types in SQL. We're going to talk about what are the data types do we have in SQL? How are you going to declare the data types? We're going to look at that. And after that, again, we'll talk about restraint today in SQL. So you learn what are restraints, how are you going to use restraints, and the rest. So we'll talk about constraints. Sorry, not restraint, constraints. That's the name, constraints. So we'll talk about constraints today. How constraints are, how are you going to use constraints in SQL? That's what we are going to discuss about. And after that, we'll learn how to create database. That's another thing that we'll learn, that we'll see how are we going to create a database by writing the query to do that for us. But after that, we'll look at the auto incrementing in SQL. Now, unlike serial number in Excel that you need to put 1, 2, 3 and drag and do whatever, no. In SQL, you can declare an auto incrementing of number by yourself and it's going to do the work for you. I'll show you how to do that because we are using SQL Server, and I'll also show you how you can do it in MySQL and also how you can do it in even Microsoft Access. Because Microsoft Access also has the same queries. Most of the queries there are almost the same when you are declaring the data types in Microsoft Access with SQL, especially this SQL server that we're going to use. Some of you that are maybe familiar with Microsoft Access, or you ever develop database using Microsoft Access, you know what I'm talking about. Okay. So today also we'll learn how to create a table. Also, we'll do that. How are you going to create a table? How are you going to put all the columns, name all the columns? How are you going to do that? Today exactly we're going to learn how to do that. And after that, we'll learn how to insert data in the table that we are going to create. So we'll create a table and we'll learn how to write a query and how the query will insert the data for us. And all this, I'm trying to show you how to do this so that you'll put the data by yourself, you insert it. And when we started the analysis, when we started writing the queries, you are going to use the data you insert inside the table. Okay, the next thing after that, we'll have question and answer, conclusion, and then we call it a day. So last week, if you can recall, we wrapped up the Power BI, and after that, we have introduction to SQL, where I told you what SQL is all about, what you can do with SQL, why SQL is best for you to learn, and also I take you through how to download the Server Studio that we are going to use, the SQL Server Studio. So that what we did last week, and I show you how to do that, how to install it. We did everything together. We did everything together, and I shared the video with you. I also shared all the links with you. Go ahead, watch the video, follow it, and I'm sure now all of you that are here, you have the SQL Server Management Studio, or you install it already on your system. So today we are continuing from where we stopped. So let's go and look at let's go and look at the interface. Let's go and look at the interface of this SQL Server Studio. So let's go. I'm stopping the sharing of my screen. Oh, I'm not feeling good. Oh. Okay, but let's see. Let's see if I can finish this class with you. So, but just I started to feel somehow. Okay. I'm sharing back the screen. Okay. Please, can you all see my screen? Okay. So, let me see what we can cover today so that maybe we can see what we can to cover. If we didn't finish it, maybe we finish it anytime soon. But let me see. So let's go through this interface that you can see all this. You see, first of all, let me talk about this. You see, this is the main SQL server that you have. That Express that we downloaded when we do that last week is that's the server. This is the offline server that we have on our system. So everything now under this server, you're going to see it here. Everything now, if you click here, you see it. You see, these are the database. All the database that we have created are under here. So you see the list of all the database under this database. Once you click on this plus, you see these are the databases that I created in this server. So this is what I have. So whatever you do, or whatever we are going to do, you are going to see it under this database. When you click on it, you are going to find it there. So this that is, then you have this file. When you click on this file, you see you have it here. You see this is what I can disconnect it because now already I connected it. You know, once you open it, it will ask you to connect with the Express server. So I connect it. If I want to disconnect, then I can disconnect. If I want to open new, then you click on open new and you open it. Or you save your SQL file. You want to open an existing file, then you click on this. You go to the project or you go to the folder where it is and you open the folder into the studio. So if you want to open recent files also, you click here, you're going to see the recent file. You see all these are the recent files that I use. So you click anyone you want. If you want to open recent solution or project, that one also you see it and you open it. So this is what you have here. And you also have the save. You see, if we started working with it, we're going to have clause, and the clause is just for it to close the interface that we are writing the query for us, or we close the solution, or we save the selected, or we save selected item as, or we save all. Maybe we want to save the entire file, want to rename it, and that's this was save all is whatever. You can also print to have the page setup, and you can also print. And we have the edit, which has to do with to just go to the file that you want to go to, or you find and replace whatever you want to find and replace. It's just a quick method of doing that. You just find something and you replace it. So you have that. So we have undo, we have redo, we have cut, copy, paste, delete, select, and we also have bookmarks. Again, under this, you see these are the views. All these are it's just the full screen that we need. So I just that's all. So when you click on full screen, it's just going to show everything in the screen and remove some things that you don't want. But these are the toolbar. You see it here. Just make it standard. Don't touch anything. All these are the properties that has to do with the view of the interface. Okay. So what do we have here under tools? Yeah, it's just if you want to import a particular setting, maybe now I export maybe the setting, or I have a setting from another system. I want to import it into this system. You go ahead and do that under the tools. Okay, so for the window, this is what you have also for the window. If you don't want this sidebar here, you can remove the sidebar. If you want to auto hide it, maybe when you come here, it pop up. When you go back there, it just go back the way it is. You just click on that. But please don't touch anything there. I just want to show you what is under. So here, what we have here, we have this. If you want to create new project, you just click on this like this. Immediately you click on it, it's going to open this new project for you. You rename it, you write it, you do all that. And please don't touch anything there. I'm not going to do that for now. So again, what we have this open, like if you want to open existing SQL file, just click on the open or control O, it will do that for you. This is save. If you want to save, just click on save. Like that save all that I show you here. You see it here. So this is what this save did. But this save do a specific save, the one that we have here, this save selected or save as. That's what this save did for you. I also have new query. Query, if you want to open the space where we need to write our query, this is where we need to click on, and it's going to open a blank white space here for us, and it's going to be the query. That's where we'll write all the queries. Do you see? This is where we are going to write all the queries we are going to use under here. If you want to uh create another one, maybe I want to open another one, then I go ahead and do it. If I want to close it, I click here, then I close it if I don't want it. So that's it. This is for the database query and all this. You don't need it. Yeah, this one is for the visual. Don't worry, this one. So let me create this query so that I will show you some things that are under it. So you see under here, if you want to run the query that you have done, just click on this execute. Click on execute. When you click execute, it will do the work for you. So this is what this executes. So when you create once whatever you write here, you can highlight it, or you can go at the end of the row and just click on execute. It will do it for you. This is why you need to stop the execution, because sometimes when you click executing, if you put a lot of queries, it will just take some seconds and run. Or maybe if there is a problem, it will just run. So if you want to stop it, just click here to stop it. This the red arrow will just pop here, and you click. It will just pop up here a red arrow. Then you click here and you stopped the query. So this is the paste, and I think all these. Yeah, I think so far is okay. What you need is okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Don't worry, we are on the master database. That one, don't touch that. It's okay. So that's it for this. What I think I'll show you for the on this interface. So if you want to view the table, maybe you want to view the database, that's where you need to go and view the database. I already show you that. Maybe you want to view the tables under the database. You come here under the database, you see these are the tables. Under it, you go ahead and look at the tables. So this is what we'll talk about related to the interface. So after interface, the next thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the data types in Microsoft PowerPoint. So data types, uh, normally I told you what data types is all about. You all know what data types is all about because we did qualitative, this and that. So almost every programming languages, like I told you, SQL also has its own data types. So there is a way you can declare data types in SQL so that you tell the SQL that, okay, this data that I'm inserting is a particular data type. So you are the one to give that data type to SQL and tell SQL, okay, this is integer, this is this is that. That's what it is. And I'll show you how you declared the data type, because in this data type in SQL, what SQL has, when you declare data type, you need to specify the number of characters that you want to fall under that data type. For example, if I said is an integer, maybe I want to save number under the data type. So you need to declare what do you want in that, especially when you are declaring number or characters. You need to declare how many do you want to be in that. And that's how many number of the characters that you want in that particular or for that particular data type. So that what SQL has different from other programming languages. So the number one that we'll talk about is character. I'll just write it. I'll just write it, and it is called char in SQL. It's called char in SQL. So it's called character. So when you want to write it in SQL, you want to declare it for under a particular uh, variable, you call it char. Not it's just a character, but you call it char. Then in front of it, you put the number that you want. For example, I would say 255, or I would say 50. That means I need 50 characters to be under this variable of character. So this is what character is all about. And we also have variable character. This variable character is called varchar. So that's what it's called varchar. So also here we can declare whatever we want. All these are taking qualitative data. These two are taking qualitative data. I'll tell you the two difference that these two has. The difference they have is two. One, if you use this character, if you use this character alone, then when you come and you write name of someone, you write Peter. That's the name of the person. Under full name, you declare the variable to be character and you put 50 characters. You write Peter. Peter has how many characters? One, two, three, four, five. It has only five. How many space left here? The space that you declared here is 50. You only have five characters. What this character will do for you in SQL, it will fill those remaining 45 characters that you didn't use, it will fill them with spaces. That's the issue. It will fill them with spaces. So if you have a lot of data, maybe you have millions of rows, because I told you SQL take more than millions, not like spreadsheet, Excel, and whatever. So it takes a lot of rows. Maybe if it is 2 million, 3 million, count that 45 character spaces that you have into millions of them. So you see your database will be very huge, the size will be big, and the size is full of spaces. So that's the disadvantage of using the character. This varchar, if you use it and you write the name Peter, now it's not going to fill the remaining 45 with spaces. It will just only take five that you use and left that 45 as nothing, as they didn't exist. So that's why the best practice is for you to use varchar when you are developing a database or when you are working with this. Make sure you use varchar. And also maybe during interview you will be asked this question. You need to understand the difference between the two. Okay, so let's continue. So the next thing is integer. We all know integer. So int is just a numeric value. And normally for int, people doesn't use to declare anything or character for it. They leave it like that because it takes any value, whatever number you put, it takes that. So that's the integer. So you can write int, or if you like, you can just say 20 under int and you continue like that. And also after int, we have plot. Also has the plot. And we also have plot data type is just a data that takes decimal places. Integer is the data type that takes whole number. So these two are numerical values. But take note, for the float, it takes, for example, 10.2, 10.3, 10.5, 10.4. For the integer, it doesn't take you know, uh, a decimal place. So plot is plot. There is no way of writing it. You need to write it in full as plot. So the next one I think is date. With maybe we can use date. So is date. That's the next one. So is date. When you're declaring the date data type, and this is how it looks like, you just write it in date and you let the format the way it is, and it will go like that. So this is it. This is how this is what we are going to discuss, and these are the data types that we're going to talk about. We're going to use in this SQL. So this is all what we have, and that's what we'll discuss. So that's okay for the data type. So after data type, what we are going to discuss, let me see. Okay, what do we have? Let me check our, what is our slide? Okay, so we are going to talk about constraints, then how to create database. So let's go and talk about the constraints. So what are the constraints? So constraints are like maybe I can call it it's just another attributes to the variable. It's just another attributes to the variable. For example, now I declared a variable with varchar. I want the variable to only take unique values. I want it to take only unique values. For example, if I write Ahmad, I don't want anybody to come and write another Ahmad in the under the column. So is I will add that constraint to that Ahmad column, as that Ahmad column should take unique value. Or maybe I want a particular column that I'm creating after the data type that I declared. I want that column not to take empty spaces or empty value. Nobody should left it blank. Like how we create Google form, if you can recall, and other forms that we develop, we just put it required. So it must be required. So there is attributes that you need to put to it, and that attributes is what is called constraints. Okay. So for this constraint, we have not null. That's number one constraint, not null. This is the number one constraint that we have, not null. So when you declare not null under a particular column, it means if you are entering data to the table, you cannot leave it empty. It must contain it must have a data under it. So that's what not null did for you. So that's the not null. So we have not null. So the second one we have is unique. Unique take unique value. So when you declared when you declared constraint of unique, it means if you put the value, you cannot repeat it again under that column. So if I put Ahmed, for example, I cannot use that name Ahmed again in the database. So if you use for example, it's a BBN number that you are entering, BBN number of people. If you use unique under that BBN, so nobody can add another BBN or duplicate the BBN within the table. So that what this constraint did for you. So another thing that we look at in this is after not null, primary key. We declared primary key. We declared primary key also because like I told you, in this SQL, whenever you are creating table, whenever you are creating columns for the table, you must declare a primary key because you must say, okay, this particular column is my primary key. So when we started working with joins, the inner join, outer join, and full join, when we started working with the joins, you use that primary key that you have and that uh, foreign key, you use them to connect the two or more tables together. And that way, after this primary key, we have foreign key. Foreign key is another constraint that we have in SQL which you can use. So please understand all these constraints and know how you can use them. Don't worry, we'll just take some of them. We'll just use them when we started creating the table. Okay, so this is it. This is what I'm going to talk about this constraint now. So the next thing we will talk about is how to create a database. So to create a database in SQL, all you need to is to write a query. I told you it's a structure, it's just a structured query language. So whatever we are going to do, we are going to write a command. We are going to ask the SQL, okay, please SQL do this for us. So what we are going to do now is to create a database. So we are going to write create. So that's number one thing that we are going to write, the command that we are going to see. We say create database, then we write the name of the database that we want to create. So you see, it's just like English. Create database, then I'll write the name of the database. I'll call it base. That's all what I'll call it. Then you end it with semicolon. Whenever you write a query, please, if you are done with the query, you can have query with a lot of lines, but at the end of every query, please end it with semicolon. End it with colon. Please don't forget. End it with colon. So when you do this, then you click on execute. And once you click on execute, it's going to create a database name Baze for you. You see, it just say command completed successfully. So within just a second, you don't need to come here under database, right click on new database, create it. No. Now when we come under this database, look at it now. We're supposed to have that base. If you didn't see it, just click on this refresh. It will refresh the database for you. You see, once you refresh it, we are going to have base here for you. So one thing about this SQL is very English, something is very easy. All this query is just for you to write the English. When you execute it, just go ahead and do all for you. Please understand. It's not that difficult. It's very, very easy. So now we create a database. Let's create another database. So if you like, you can go ahead and create another database. So I'll call it database. What name did am I going to put for it? So make sure all these commands should be in capital letter. Make sure all your commands should be in capital letter. And whenever you write command, in as much as it is SQL command is going to look blue. It's going to turn the color into blue. So that's how it is. Okay. Okay, so that's it for the database, how to create database. So if I want, I can just say base. So let me call it university. Let me call it university. So now if I want to execute this column, I'll highlight this column alone. But if I didn't highlight it and I click on execute, it's going to take all these rules, it's going to execute all these rules. But since I already have this base name, it's not going to create that for me. Let me show you that what it show. So it will create this university for me, but it will not create base because we already have existing name of base. So if I come here and refresh this, it's definitely going to give us what? It's going to give us university. You are going to see university here. So let me refresh it. Okay, so it's not going to do this because of this arrow that we have on this first one. So because it didn't refresh, so let me just highlight this one, just highlight this one and execute. So now it will execute it. Okay, university is already here. So I'm supposed to see it here. Let me refresh. Okay, why is it? I didn't see university. It's just it didn't refresh itself. That's the issue. Okay, so yeah, it is. It's supposed to show itself. So I didn't see it that way. I'm just kind of confused. So this is it. This is how you create a database. Please, all of you know how to create database right from today in SQL. This is the query: create database, then the name of the database. That's all. The next thing we are going to do is we are going to. Okay, I didn't show you this when we are talking about interface. Please, this is the like result interface, or where you are going to see all the result that all the queries that you have declared here. This is where you are going to see the result. If we want to fetch data, that's where we are going to see the result. That's where we are going to see everything here. Please take note on that. This is the prompt where you see the result of what you are writing there. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, for example, now you want to okay, let's talk about the auto increment before we continue about how to create a table. So for the auto increment, it's just a way of, if I declare integer and, for example, serial number, or for example, ID, I want it to go serially, 1, 2, 3, or maybe 1001, 1002 serially. That's how I want it to be. So in SQL, you can declare the auto increment. Once you declare that, then it's go ahead and just start incrementing by itself. It just keep incrementing for you, 1, 2. Once you insert data, it will give it number. Once you insert number, it will give it number under the serial number that you declared. So the auto increment, there are three ways of writing it in SQL Server and MySQL, and even MS Access is different. In SQL Server, this SQL Server that we are using, this one, this, if you want to write this, what did I call it? Auto increment, you write it on identity. You write identity. Then under this identity, you pass two parameters under parentheses. That is the starting number and the incrementing number. Let me explain this to you. This means you want to start from 1, and this means you want to add 1 after each number. That means it's going to be 1, 2, 3. But if I started from 100 and I leave it 1, then it means it will start from 100 and it will continue from 101, 102, 103, 104. But if I add 2, it will just keep incrementing 2, 100, 102, 104. Please understand this. This is what this SQL, how this SQL server works. But for the my SQL, some of you that are using my SQL, all you need is to say auto underscore increment. Is auto underscore increment. That's the increment, auto increment. So immediately after you declare the variable, you declare the name of the column, then you put only auto increment. Once you put auto increment, just go ahead and do that for you. While for the MS Access, you don't need that underscore. All you need is to put auto increment under MS Access. So this is just to show you what this auto increment is all about and how to use auto increment in this SQL server. So please get note on this and understand this. So the next thing we are going to talk about is we are going to talk about how to create a table. That's what we are going to talk about. But before that, if you want to create a particular table now in my SQL, in this SQL server, you need to use a particular database. Then whatever you do is going to be under the database. So you need to declare a query. You need to declare a command telling that the SQL server, okay, I want to work with this database. You see, I have a lot of databases here. So I want to see. Now I want to tell the server that, okay, this is the database I want to work with. So I'm just going to write the command of use base, the name of the database. That means I want to use base. So now if I say use base and I execute, it means whatever I'm going to do now, command successfully, whatever I'm going to do is going to fall under what? Under base. So if you come under base now, you click here, you see under base, if you click here, we don't have any table so far. There is no any table under this base. We don't have table, we don't have it. Okay, there is no table now. You see, no table under base. So we want to start by creating a table. So let's create a table now and say create table, then you give it a name. Since it is under the base, so create table, then you give the table a name. So what do we want to call the table? Let's call it participants. But participant is big. Give us any name. Um, just give us name that is not okay. Let me just use participant. I'll call the table participant. Create table participants. So then I will highlight it. Then I'll execute. I'm just trying to see where I made mistake. Because I write it, I made a mistake. Okay. Sorry. Wallahi, I'm very sorry. It's from me. Okay, when you write create table, please, I'm sorry. Oh, what am I thinking? I just thought that we are creating database. So I just create a table and I just call it the command like this. So to create a table, take note. Please, you need to declare all the columns that you want under the table. So that why it told me that I have incorrect syntax after this column that I put. Yeah, it means that I'm not done with the query. So query is just halfway. So I just say create table and I give it the name participant. So I need to open parentheses and I put this column. So under this, inside this parenthesis, we are going to write all the columns that we want to be present in this particular table. So I'm going to click enter. Please take note. You need to close this and take this best practice. So I'm going to start creating all the columns that I want to be under this particular table. So the next thing we are going to do is to start writing our table. So I will start with SN, or I'll call it ID. So let me call it ID. And I told you in ID, we can put identity. So when we put this identity, it will just go ahead and say 1, 1, then it's going to do this for us. So that's how it works. So what we are going to just put is just put comma, then we put enter. What do we want after that? Then we want full name. So I'll tell you there are best practices in creating variable, which I know I told you when we are talking about Excel and whatever. I told you you don't start creating variable with number. You don't start creating variable in variable name. You don't put space. You put underscore if there are two words. You don't start with number. I told you that, and you don't use the same name, or maybe you put full name. You put another full name. No, you can't do that. So there are many things that you cannot do. So these are the ones that I want you to understand. So what we are going to put is full name. So I'll put full underscore name. So after this full name, what did I want? I want the data type of this name, and which is we are going to call it varchar, and we want the full name to take just say 50, because I don't know if there is someone with more than 50 characters. But yeah, we can have someone with more than 50. If you like, put anyone. Even if we put 255 or 200, because that's what you must be. You will be seeing people put 100. Whatever you put is okay. Don't worry, just put that. So after that, then we put qualification, or let's say gender. So take note, you start with the name of the column, followed by the data type, then followed by any constraint, if any. So this ID, I want this ID to be, this ID, let's say we want the ID to be our primary key. Or maybe if we don't want this ID to be our primary key, before this full name, let's call it, we have your base. So what is your base ID? Um, That's base ID. How do you call it? BA, what do you call it? What do you call yours? Your base ID, unique ID. What is this? Yeah, yes, thank you, Jamiu. I saw your message. Yeah, your IDAS, okay? IDEAS. So this IDEAS, we want it to be integer. We want it to be, okay, let's just make it character. Oh, yeah, it should be character. It should be character. No. It should be it should be character. It should be character. So let's just call it character and call it. How many numbers do we have in that? How many numbers? We have like how many? Zero, zero, what? Please tell us so that I want us to take something into this so that when we are analyzing data, we analyze your own data. How many characters it takes there? Okay, okay. Is that how it is? IDs 2452028, max 15. Okay, so let's put 20. Then we are going to call it unique and also primary key. So all these are constraints that I put under this. Don't worry, I told you we'll use this constraint. So we make it character to be 20, we want it to be unique, and we also want it to be primary key. So this is our primary key in this. Yeah, and we also have the serial number, don't worry about that. But IDs is will be this. Okay, so for the gender, let's just call it gender is just bacha. So let's call it bacha and just call it 20 because it's just going to be males or females. Yeah. And after gender, what do we have? Qualification. Qualification. Also, I'll call it bacha. Bacha, I'll call it 50, comma. And after qualification, we have states. States. And under this state, we call it also bacha, 50. And after states, so let's just stop with state. I think that's all we can analyze this based on this. Yeah, I think that's all when we have states and this. So this is just okay. I think it's okay. So when you are done with this, you sure you are done with this? You create the tables, you create the constraints, you put everything. Now you are done. What you are going to do is to highlight everything. Or you want to just delete this, use base, you just delete it. So now if you click on execute, it will execute everything that is on this data interface. So let me just click on it to see if we make any this thing. ID must include data type. Okay, under this ID, we didn't include data type in ID. I'm sorry. So it's supposed to be int. So that way it just tell us, look at it. Whenever you made mistake, it will tell you what you have done. So it tells us that ID, we did not declare the data type for the ID. So now we declare the data type. So let's run it again and see. Okay, primary key and unique constraint had been defined. So this is what this means. You see, primary key and unique constraint has been defined. So let me explain this to you. Whenever you declare the primary key, ID to be a primary key, it means that ID automatically is unique. Understand this from today, from now. Once ID is unique, is a primary key. So it means that ID is once it is a primary key, it is a unique. That's what I'm going to say. Once it is a primary key, it is a unique. But when it is unique, doesn't mean it is a primary key. Understand the two. So that way we can put unique here because it is a primary key. Definitely it is a unique automatically. So let's just execute again. So it just say complete. Yeah, now it's okay. It just create a table for us, and this table has all this. So we have this in us. So now we created a table, and the name of the table is participant. So let's just refresh this. Let's refresh this. Let's refresh this. When you refresh this under tables, okay, sorry. It didn't refresh. I just wanted to refresh. Okay. Yeah. So let's go to the table now under Baze. This is Baze and this is table. So you are going to see participants under the table. So let's see, you see, now we create a database table with the name participant. And under this participant, that's what the table has. Okay, let's talk about this because exactly this is where I want us to stop. But let's talk. Okay, let me look at our that's the this thing. We have 13 minutes to go. Sorry, I don't want to talk about select and prompt, but let me touch this. Let me see what we have. Sorry, sorry. My system is very slow. Okay. Okay, so yeah, we have another thing to do is how to insert data. So let's insert the data. So after that, maybe we can show everything. Let's insert data. Let's start insert data. So let's see how to insert data in it. So let me show you that. So for you to insert data, okay, let's say I'm done with this. I'm deleting it. So don't worry if I'm not deleting because I don't want to be highlighting and selecting that. So let's insert data into this table that we have done. So after that, maybe we can talk about the select and from so that we'll see what we have created or what we have inserted so far. So what we are going to do is the command you are going to write is insert. That's the name of the command. So you say insert into. So when you say insert and you write into, you are telling it, okay, insert a particular thing into a particular data that we are going to say, insert into participants, into participants. Okay, sorry, I shouldn't have deleted that. We need this. I'll tell you why we need this. So, but let me write this. Insert into participant values. This. So if we want to insert a particular data into this particular table, that's what we said. We want to insert a value. So these values that we're going to declare into parentheses are the values that we want to insert inside this particular table that we have. But let me say this to you. What we are going to do is uh, we first tell it that these values that we are going to declare, please take note. These values that we are going to declare is going to go the way it is here. ID, we put identity. We don't need to say anything there. Don't put anything under that. But we need to continue with the IDs, full name, gender, qualification, state, like that. That's how it's going to go in serial. So the first thing we are going to declare here, we are going to write the ID's number, and that your ID's number should be whenever you are writing, please. When you are writing varchar or character, you write it inside double quote. And if you are writing integer, you don't need to write it inside double quote. So this is your ID's number. We declare it to be a character. So it's just a character. So let me make it batch. I would leave it like that. It's just a character. So now we need to declare it inside double quote or single quote is the same. So I'm going to call it. Somebody should give us his number. Oh, 24568. I don't know how the number looks like. Please, somebody should just write any number for us for this ID so that we can use it and continue. So when you write it, you put comma. After that, you put the full name. So full name, I'm writing my name. And I'll close the double quote. Then I'll put comma again. After that, then the gender, I'll put double quote and say male, comma. After that, I'll put qualification. Maybe I put SSC. After that qualification, what do we have? We have state. So after state, then I put my state, Zamfara. Okay, so someone drop his ID's number. So let's use that one. So for this IDs, we're going to say IDs 242345 6. But let me change it so that I'll use something unique so that it will when we are let me put this. Okay, 24123456. Yeah, so let me delete one and leave it like this. So this is how it is and this is how it's going to be. So what you are going to do is you can highlight this alone, this particular row that we just created. Look at it up till the end and don't forget I end it with what? With colon. So after that, then you click execute. Oh, values. I have one, two. Okay, sorry, I need to use single quote. Let me use single quote and see. Okay, let me do this and see. Let me declare this and see. Oh, it's because of that double quote that I used. Oh boy. I know I know that I wrote it correctly, so I thought double quote and single quote is it all matters. So please take note of all these errors because you know it's in front of you that all these are happening and we are all debugging it together. So please take note on this. You get confused. So like I told you when you are declaring integer, you put it inside double quote. You put it inside double quote and you see with the mistake I made, I put double quote. So you use single quote in my SQL. Please understand, in SQL Server, you use single quote, not double quote. Please understand this. So if you want to add another person, all you need to is to just change this. I'll change the ID number. Maybe I'll change this to 8. And name, I'll change it maybe to Sani Ahmad. I'll say Sani Ahmad. And qualification, maybe I'll change the qualification to maybe BSc, and then maybe state should be Zamfara again. So I'll just copy it like this. You highlight it the way you highlight that one, just highlight it and add another one. So it just tells you that another row affected. So if you want to do it a lot, you want to put a lot of people, all you need to is to highlight the column. Let me show you this. Just highlight the column like this. When you highlight it, come down, you see, paste it, come down, paste it. You just keep pasting it. Just paste it, paste it, paste it. Then you correct all what you want to correct and you highlight them all and you execute. So that's what you are going to do. So if you want to see everything, all you need to is select all, select, then you use all, or is the asterisk from the name of the table, participants. Then you put semicolon and you are going to see all the data you inserted in the particular table. But don't worry, I'm not going to talk about this select and from. It's something that I want us to talk about. But what I want from you, please, is go ahead, try doing all this, practice all this, create table, put at least 50 people in the table. Or maybe your assignment will share the assignment on how what you are going to do, will give you question on what to do. So you go ahead and do that and you send us the query that you created. Just share us the query. That will be your assignment. That's what we are going to do, I think. So please, I have another class. It's already time is about 2 minutes to go. So let's call it a day. I'll share the video with you again. Please practice all this so that you will be okay and good in it. And even if you make mistake, you can think how to, you know, solve the problem. So let's call it a day. I don't think we have something to. So let's call it a day and meet next week because uh okay, if your server has issue, please, if your server has issue, okay, you say your system, so it's from your system. If your server has issue, I will drop a video on how you can fix it. Maybe it didn't connect or you didn't find it when you want to connect, you didn't find the server. So I will share that on how to do that. I have a video on that, but it's in Hausa language. So I believe you can even watch it, even if it is Hausa. So you can still watch it and learn and see how you can do it. But if your system cannot download it, maybe it's from your system is too small to take it. I don't know, but you need to take it somewhere. Maybe they can debug that for you. But the issue of the server is not connecting. That one I will show you, I will share the video with you to watch. Okay, so let me see if there is any question, please. 1 minute to go because these people, I think they are still waiting for me. I have to cancel your class and start their own. Okay, thank you so much and see you next week. I'll share the video with you. Bye bye. Take care.